So I am the founder of a process called Extract. It's a lymphatic process. It's very outside the normal. And I was actually given this gift in 2006 by God because I never went to school to learn anything about the lymphatic system or massage or any kind of body work. I ended up opening up a weight loss and wellness center in 2006, and this is where this gift was actually given to me. A little bit about my background. I was a personal trainer and nutritionist, and about 25 years ago, I went to bed healthy, I woke up sick. It took about 2 years for doctors to diagnose me, and what they were telling me is I was overworked, overstressed, it's in my head. They gave me Prozac and sent me on my way. So out of those 2 years, I was bedridden for 6 months because no one could help me, and I was starting to think it was in my head. I had my first breakthrough when I met a naturopath, love naturopaths, and within minutes she diagnosed me with something called systemic candida. I know you guys know what that is. Of course, I never heard of it, and I realize now with the understanding of the emotional and the physical that it was due because of an emotional roller coaster that I'd gone on when I was younger with an ex-boyfriend, but I was also taking a lot of tetracycline on and off for my skin, and between the two, the overgrowth of yeast and the emotional issue, that's when my body just went a little nuts. And so in my search of trying to find a cure for myself, I learned about the lymphatic system, and that's where I had another breakthrough moment. When I learned about the lymphatic system, I understood that this was a system that actually stored a lot of things. It was like your garbage disposal. And I got to thinking, well, if it stores everything, maybe yeast stores there. And so I started doing some more research on the lymphatic system and got some sessions done from traditional lymphatic work and was kind of disappointed, to be honest with you. There was not a lot of breakthrough in my health. I still had a lot of the symptoms. So it got me thinking a little bit more about the lymphatic system, and I kind of shelved it. I started feeling better after starting eating well and taking some herbs and things like that. And about 10 years later, I decided to open up a weight loss wellness center, and I called it Spectacular Health in Palm Desert, California. And in 2006, I had a client who was on my table. I had done a wrap on her, and we did the foot detox. It was like an all-inclusive wellness center. And I noticed she had edema. Remember, I understood the lymphatic system. I knew that was a sluggish lymphatic system. And I said, let me just try something. Remember, never did body work, never read a book on body work, never did massage, not a massage therapist, had no desire to do massage or body work ever. But I saw she had a need, and I said, let me just try something. I start working on her. And I'm working on her legs. Don't have a clue to what I'm doing, but I'm kind of doing it intuitively. I'm like, okay, do a little this. She gets up off the table after about a half an hour. She calls me the next day and she goes, do you remember me? I'm like, yeah. She goes, what did you do to me? I'm like, oh, man, I heard her. I didn't know what I did. She said, whatever you did, the swelling is completely gone. I said, really? I'm all shocked. I'm like, really? That's cool, you know? And she goes, I have a twin sister who has the same problem. Can you do the same thing? I'm like, sure, bring her in. Clueless to what I'm doing. She comes in, I do the same thing on her. Guess what? The swelling's gone again. I'm like, this is kind of cool, right? So now I live in a really small little town, everyone talks, and it's coming about that I've got this really cool lymphatic technique, because I'm calling it lymphatic, and it helps people. So people are coming to see me, and what I'm noticing is it's not just swelling that's going away, knee pain's going away, back pain's going away, migraine headaches are going away, sinuses are opening up, they're losing inches because I know toxins and fat attract. All these things are happening, and they're happening after the very first session. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, right? So I'm just doing the legs. All of a sudden, I start looking at people. I'm like, let me try something. So I start working on the upper. I'm like, wait, you know what? Maybe if we do something over here. So now it's this full-on body work, and I'm calling it lymphatic massage because I don't know what else to call it. All of a sudden, weeks later, come out, and this girl goes, I do lymphatic work. I heard about your technique. I want you to work on me. I said, okay. Get her on the table. Now, at this time, it's a full hour, right? Because it's completely evolved. She gets off the table and she's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is nothing like lymphatic work. You need to come up with a new name. Now remember, God gave this gift to me, right? This is a divinely inspired gift. I did not learn this from any human being. So I said, okay, God, you gave me this gift. I need a name. So 3:30 in the morning, I get woken up and the Lord says, here is your name. X is cancel, T is toxic, R is release. A, I'm not going to tell you, somebody else in your center has that word. C is cellular and T is transformation. I'm like, cool. So I write it down. I'm all excited. I'm like, what does that mean? I have no idea. I go to work. One of my clients who I've been working on is getting phenomenal results. She came to me for weight loss, actually. And I said, hey, I had this amazing dream, and God woke me up, and he gave me this word, and I said, but he said, somebody has the A, and she goes, accelerated. I said, that's it. So that kind of birthed the entire process of extract and the name extract. So again, it's an acronym. So X is cancel. What it does is it cancels out old mindsets, patterns, and beliefs. T is toxic on both an emotional and a physical level, toxins and traumas. XT, R is release, or releases it, right, through the lymph system. And then also we're finding that it's on a cellular level. So we're actually creating a new memory in the cellular level. And we're retraining the lymphatic system so that it can actually start to heal on its own and drain on its own. A is accelerated. It happens immediately. After the very first session, people notice the results. C is cellular. We talked about the cellular memory. And I know the way I know that too is if I'll work on somebody, I won't see them for about 2 or 3 days or 4 days or even a week, and I'll pick up right where I left off. So I know we're creating a new memory in the lymphatic system. And I also get people to a maintenance level. So once I start working on them, the body knows what to do. The lymphatic system is getting trained, just like you can train your muscle. Same thing with the lymphatic system. I actually am training the lymphatic system to drain on its own. And to the point where I don't have to see people all the time. I see them to a certain level, I get them to that maintenance, and then I just maintain from there. They're excited, they're ecstatic, and they're telling everybody about it. So it started out there, but it's evolved so much more because what was happening is everyone was like, this is amazing. How come you're the only one who knows how to do this? I'm like, well, because I'm the creator of it, I'm the founder of it. And they're like, well, can you teach other people? I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing myself, so I can't teach anybody. So I just basically said, let me see what I can do, because I got to the point where I was doing 14 sessions a day. That is a lot. Even though I was younger at that time, it doesn't matter. That's a lot of body work, hand, back, everything. And I'm like, I need to teach this. So I took a placebo group of about 5 people and I taught it. And I just threw some stuff together. I said, okay, here we go. We're just going to do this step by step by step. And lo and behold, they all got the same results as I did. And I'm like, I've got something here. So then I decided that I wanted to take this at an academy level. And so I started my own academy. It's called Majestic Wellness Academy. It is an accredited academy. That means we offer CEs. And I teach people all around the nation. We're in about 36 states. We are in Canada. We're in this area, actually. I just found that out recently. And so we're finding that people are getting results anywhere from an emotional release, from like PTSD. We're helping people with issues with symptoms of Lyme's. We're helping people with, skin problems, headaches. It just, there's spectrum. It's spectrum children. It just seems like whatever they need, it goes to. And so I know it's through a tent. So what I do is when I get the client on the table, I basically say, hey, are you ready to release what you need to release? And are you ready to receive what you need to receive? And what's happening is their body is telling me what it needs, and I'm actually going through the process. Even though this is a step-by-step process and I can teach it that way, it's different for every single person because of the vibration, the frequency, and the energy that's happening. And I also know that when I get them on the table, that I become a communication exchange specialist. And what I mean by that is I'm actually exchanging the communication that's being stored because of lies that they've taken in through the trauma that their bodies received, their emotions received, their bodies manifesting, and I'm changing that communication right on the table. And it happens through the movement, it happens through the oils that we bring in, and I have been working with other oil companies. I just got introduced to these oils, and I'm ecstatic because we also work on all 12 meridians, and I didn't know that until I had a gentleman who I worked on who worked with meridians. He said, you're working on all 12 meridians. I'm like, cool. I didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of learning as I went along. And so as I'm doing it and I'm learning, the person's body is responding. So I start always on the left because that's the emotion side, right? So as I'm moving that fluid, I'm telling them to kind of give me the intent of like what might be going on emotionally in your body. Like, what are you experiencing? Is there loss? Is there sadness? Is there depression? Whatever's going on. And I said, just kind of put it in the forefront. And what I would do is take some oil and I'd come over here and I'd have them breathe it in, and then I'd have them do 3 deep breaths. They breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and then I say push it out, whatever's going on at that intent. And then I start working on them. So that's kind of the way I've been doing it. But now that I'm seeing these oils, I'm seeing and how Wes does with the lights, I'm like, my gosh, this is like crazy awesome. It's like a 1, 2, 3 punch. If we could do the extract, with the oils, with the light. Think about what we can do for people and how we can change lives, because we're changing their communication. We're getting rid of the lies to bring in the truth. And when you do that, the body responds accordingly. And it just blows my mind. And this has all been taught by God. I didn't learn this from a book. I didn't learn this from anybody. It just kind of came to me, and it just makes sense. So the way that I do this technique is very outside the normal lymphatic work. It's not light. It's deep. I'm moving fluid. I'm redirecting it into the bladder so the body can eliminate it. And I'm actually pushing fluid. I can also see where the fluid's going. I have areas where we actually dump it. They're called dumping stations. And I open up certain areas of like valves so that the body and the fluid can actually just start to move and flow. And what I love about extract is I believe it's a bridge that brings the spirit, soul, and body in alignment and agreement together and creates equal communication so that they can all start to heal on their own. The spirit's perfect. It always has been. But as soon as sin came about in the Garden of Eden, everything became a division. And the body and soul have been trying to catch up all this, ever since then, right, into the spirit. So I believe extract is that bridge that brings it all three together so that you can have total optimal health and wholeness. And so because I have a very short time today, I want it, and I'm so grateful for the time that you have given me. So I know I'm talking fast, but I really want you to see this technique. And I do talk fast anyway. I'm from Chicago originally. But the proof is in the pudding. And so I'm going to actually work on Josh. He's never experienced this before. And so I'm going to have Josh keep his arms straight because we don't want to kink the hose, right? Lymphatic fluid flows up and down. And so I want to actually push the fluid, open up certain valves, and then dump it. And for a man, I go to about this point. For a woman, I go up here. But I will have Josh hold those areas. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm just using basic coconut oil just for glide. He's so tall. He's off the table. All right. So I always even put the oil just up, right? And so I want to open up meridians. And I'm just going to kind of hold the blood meridian here and just open it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slide my finger down. And I'm making like a V. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for fluid. I do it 5 times. And I'm going, Josh, how's the pressure?
Good.
So I'm going a little bit deep, right? So the pressure that I'm using, so if this is traditional, touch, I'm kind of going down. So you'll see I'm not going down to the point where I'm like making my arm white, but I'm going down a little bit. See the difference? If I go down like that, how white I'm getting, I go like this. It's just like a pinch. So I'm also probably a little dehydrated right now. So I'm just going up 1, and I'm actually, do you feel that, Josh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. 2, 3.
Is his head supposed to swell up like a balloon?
No. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's actual fluid right here. So I'm actually, it's almost like can you feel that? Does it feel tender?
Yeah.
Okay. Josh is in great shape. He'd probably think, I don't have any fluid. You have fluid. So what I'm going to do is now I know this is like my area where I want to focus, and I want to actually move that fluid and bring it and dump it. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to start pumping. And I start here because I work with a lot of people who have elephantitis, and I just start pumping. And I'm going around the lymph, and I'm pushing around it, and I'm coming up underneath is like a low valve, and then I slide it in. And then I have him hold the valve right there, right? So if you put your hand,
I can feel my heartbeat. Right
yeah,
there.
so lift your leg up. Do you see the crease? That's where I want you to put your finger.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay. And so once I pump it, then I need to do something with it. So then I hold the area here, and I take my fingers, and I come along, and I move in that fluid, and I have to direct it somewhere, and I'm sliding my thumb around that fluid to break it up, pushing up underneath, and then I'm dumping and pushing down. So I'm moving the fluid, breaking it up, directing it. We actually call this like, what's wrong?
Oh, I just felt that.
Oh, okay. You feel it right there?
It's shifting while the energy jumped over, and then it ran around in here for a second.
Oh, yeah, see, I'm talking to somebody who knows energy. Okay. So then I just kind of pump again. I do this 5 times, and I'm going over that blockage. Remember that area that gets blocked? I'm actually taking my palm, and I'm pushing it. And I'm coming underneath, and I'm opening up this valve, and I'm bring it to this point, and then I push it down here to dump it. And then, once I do that, I come over here, I hold onto his area right here, taking my fingers, and I'm actually moving this fluid, taking my thumb around, bring it underneath the valve, sliding it down, around, and pushing it in. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to take his, hold onto the bladder meridian, come up, shake it, bring it down, shake, down, shake, down, shake, down, and shake, and down. And then I end it with something called toothpaste. And the toothpaste is like kind of, you know how you squeeze the bottom to get everything out? So after I do several pumps and directs and all that, then I want to make sure I'm very thorough and I move that fluid, come around, push underneath, and then dump it here. So I'm just going to go ahead and work on him a little bit and see if he notices a difference. You feel it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
For a woman, we're going to go all the way up, but for men, obvious reasons, we don't. So then you start to mix up the steps, and that's more intuitive. And then depending on which way he wants to go, if he wants to do it more on a physical level, it'll go physical. If he wants to go more emotional, it'll go emotional. And then his body will start to tell me what areas are, what areas are emotionally coming up. And usually I'll kind of direct it. So if I feel something come up, I'll direct it and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. If this is something that's resonating, then I'll help them get rid of it, kind of like what Dawn does with the prayer, and kind of renounce it if there's any unforgiveness, whatever's not serving them, and just kind of walk them through. And a typical session is about an hour and 15 minutes. But as you keep doing it, it goes down to about 45 minutes. So I don't charge per hour, I charge per session, because if I'm only doing 45 minutes, they're not going to want to give me the money that I was doing when I was doing an hour and a half. And what I tell people is, whether you ever wanted to do body work or not, and believe me, I had no desire to do body work. Never. I'm in people's pits, okay? This is just not my thing. And I'm a germaphobe. I'm not even kidding you. So I'd say God has a sense of humor. And he chose me for this, and he called me to this, and I just said yes to it. And we've been able to help a lot of people. But I can feel kind of what's going on in his body right now. Are you feeling any different here, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
What are you feeling?
Well, I was feeling sensations up here and things shifting. My stomach's been shifting.
Okay. And how about the pain down here? Is it getting lighter?
The pain down there is gone.
It's gone, okay. And I haven't changed my pressure at all?
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's another version of this that I've come up with. It's called advanced technique. It's level 2. And that's a little bit more advanced. It works on the kidneys. I do a lot more lymphatic pumping and things like that as well.
I actually do feel more congested up here.
Because everything's moving out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I'm going to go up there in a second and open you up there. So. Okay. Let's see.
That's night and day.
What's that?
I said that's night and day from where you started.
Mm-hmm. And so it happens very quickly. It's a great tool. I have a lot of naturopaths that I teach this to because they can bring in instant gratification into their clients. People see and feel a difference right away. It's both physical and emotional. Once you get people to an instant gratification level, then of course your retention rate increases, and then of course from there your referrals. So most of my students or my grads have a wait list of referrals. We can't keep up with the demand of people needing this process. So I'm actually looking for people who want to learn this because I can't handle it. I've got people in Florida right now that are on a wait list because I don't have enough people out there. So there's actually a difference in his size of his leg, but I want to see if you can feel a difference. Go ahead and lift this leg up. Okay, bring it down. Now lift this leg up. Do you feel a difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Weight.
Oh, well, okay, a little bit more specific, please. Weight.
Yeah, like this like feels lighter.
Does it feel like more flexible, more?
Yeah, more flexible for sure.
Okay.
Because this one gets tight. It's tighter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna leave you like that, and I'm not gonna even you out. You just have to be lopsided. No, I'm just kidding.